Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Parent and Supporters Trent Advantage live stream. My name is Chloe, and I am an enrollment advisor here at Trent University. I work in the recruitment and admissions department, and I'm joined tonight by Melissa, who is the manager of student affairs. And we're so excited for this evening. We're here to answer any questions that you may have as your student is entering this transition into post-secondary. So we know it could be a scary, daunting time in not only the student's life, but also as a parent or a supporter. So we're here to ask and answer any questions that you may have. We do have a set of questions already in place, but after we finish the questions, the Q&A section in the live stream will be your best friend. Please feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A chat, and we will be more than happy to answer them afterwards. And if you do have a question within the same question that we're on, please feel free to put in the chat. I will be moderating the session today. And without further ado, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So just to start it off, Melissa, this series is called the Trent Advantage live stream series. So could you tell us and all of the parents tuned in tonight how you would describe the Trent Advantage?
Yeah, I definitely can. Good evening, everyone. My name is Melissa Fernandez. I'm the manager of student affairs. I work primarily on the Peterborough campus of Trent. However, Trent University stretches across a couple of different areas and campuses. And I do understand some of the happenings in those other spaces as well. And I also support and work with many of the other directors and managers and coordinators across this place. So yeah, it's my pleasure to be here with you tonight. I'm really excited. I get to work with Chloe in many contexts, and this is one of the best ones that I get to do. As the manager of student affairs, I can definitely tell you what makes Trent's University a special place. To me, the Trent advantage, I think, lies significantly in our size and the fact that we are an intimate and intentional community. And we intentionally foster a sense of community within this place. So at Trent, students are not just a number, they are valued members of our close-knit community. And this sense of belonging is felt from the moment that they step on our campus at orientation. And it's felt all the way through to convocation. I think that one of the key aspects of this community is our small classroom sizes. So we do have a low professor to student ratio in our classrooms. And because of this, our students benefit from that personalized attention and also meaningful interactions with their professors. And so this not only enhances their learning experiences, but it also allows for some deeper connections and some mentorship opportunities. I think also, I think that our resources are properly scaled to meet the needs of our students because of this ratio that we have. And so whether that's academic supports, mental health services, extracurricular activities, everything that we have to offer here at Trent is designed to ensure that the student has access to that supports so that they can thrive while they're here. So to me, the Trent Advantage is about creating an environment where students feel supported, engaged, empowered, and that's to ensure that they can succeed both academically and personally. I'm so excited that you're here with us tonight, and I'm ready to answer all of your questions.
That's awesome. Thank you. As a Trent alumni myself, I can vouch for this. I studied at the Durham campus and took a few courses at the Peterborough campus. And it is so true. You're more than just a student number here at Trent. You really do feel valued and heard by your professors as early as your first year. And I'm not that outgoing. And in first year, I really did feel comfortable in being myself. And I really found my people at this university. So yes, definitely could speak to many of my friends and past students who are alumni as well. It's definitely something that a lot of students love about this campus and university.
Mhm.
Our next question is what might parents' biggest concern be about sending your students off to university? How does Trent help to support students in these regards?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and I'm sure that there are some parents on the line here who are like, "Yeah, I've got my concerns. I can tell you what my biggest concern is." But let me take a grab at this one. I think so. As a parent myself, I can certainly relate to the concern that you might have about sending your student off to a new and unfamiliar place. I don't know if you can hear, but my kids have just started daycare this past year. So I think I might be somewhat well positioned to answer your question from a similar experience. I think regardless of their age, I imagine it's a bit nerve-wracking to leave your student, in my case, toddlers, and in yours, young adults, in the care of someone else, right? And yes, yours are probably a little bit more self-sufficient than mine, maybe, but I do think that there is a similarity. So one of the biggest concerns that parents often have is making sure that their child has a strong support system and feels well cared for while they're away from home. And the good news is that you're leaving them in the care of our family here at Trent. And our campus community, as I mentioned, is tight knit and we're connected. And that does make a world of difference. For instance, when I walk a student over to the Student Wellness Center because I've identified that they are having a mental health challenge of some sort, I know the folks who work over at the wellness center, and I know who might be best suited to support them. It's not just a handoff, it's in fact a warm introduction to people that I know genuinely care. Similarly, when a student is struggling academically, their professor might make a referral to our academic skills instructors or academic advisors. And because we all work so closely together, that professor isn't just sending them into the void. They've likely collaborated on various student initiatives together, possibly attended some same campus events. Maybe they've had a coffee at the White Buffalo Cafe on campus. Their kids might be in gymnastics together. We live in a very small community here. We know each other, we care for each other. Yeah, so I think that while it might be a bit nerve-wracking to imagine leaving your young adult in someone else's care, I do want to say rest assured that at Trent, they're in good hands. Our community is here to support them as they make their way through our campus and through their degree.
Thank you. One of our most asked questions we are receiving from students and parents is, um, could, sorry, one second here. So one question we're getting a lot about is what residence will look like for students this fall. I know this is a big question because students may be looking to live away from home for the very first time, which can be very stressful and nerve-wracking for many. So kind of just explaining what residence will look like for this fall for students.
Yeah. So I'll back up from residence and I'll maybe tell you about what the student experience could look like beginning with fall orientation week. So one of the highlights of the fall semester is the fall orientation week. And it's an exciting time that's designed to help students transition smoothly into university life. So from the moment that you arrive on campus, our team is there to support you in every step that you're going to take while you're here. When you first pull up in your car, you're going to be welcomed by a crew that's going to help you unload your items and get you settled in your new home, your new residence. And this is just the beginning of a week that's going to be filled with lots of opportunities to make friends and become familiar with the campus and campus life. We also have a lot of activities planned for you that are fun and informative. And hopefully they're going to allow you to feel connected and comfortable in your new environment. In terms of residence, there is an application process, and maybe I'll turn it over to Chloe to chat a little bit more about what that application process looks like. But in terms of residence, there are a mix of traditional and like suite style type residences that we have on campus. We do have residences that are on that are like situated like on the campus and ones that are just in and across the street or maybe just a little bit away. And those are called the annexes. And yeah, maybe I'll just turn it over right now to Chloe just to talk a little bit about the process of getting into residence and what you can look forward to in that process.
For sure, yes, thank you. So applications open this cycle on February 5th, 2025. Time is not confirmed yet, but will be on the housing website. And the deadline to apply to receive the guaranteed space in residence is June 4th. So at Trent, we guarantee residence for first year students as long as you apply before this deadline. You do not need to have accepted an offer to apply for residence. Our residences are also first come, first serve. So the earlier you apply on February 5th, the earlier and the better chances you will get that dream residence of yours. We kind of love explaining it as like you're on Ticketmaster and you're buying tickets to your favorite concert or sport, anything like that. The earlier you're in the queue, the better you'll have the chances to get your desired room. And then once you're in that portal specifically, it'll look like the residence building with all the rooms numbered, and you just pick your room, and then that's how you kind of get into the room of your choice. If your child is looking to live with a roommate, so either they have a friend that's coming to Trent or they want to try out the double or the apartment style suites like Melissa was mentioning within the annexes, that's definitely an option. There's a little questionnaire that students fill out so we can match and pair students with people who have similar interests. If someone's a night owl, and we're not going to pair you with someone who's more of a morning person. So our housing team is very good at identifying certain needs as well. So let's say you have, if you're in a wheelchair, for example, we do have accessible rooms that are available in each one of our residences that are for students who have specific needs. Our residents are either all gender floors, girl floors, or boy floors. So it really just depends on what you're interested in and what you're most comfortable with living, because there are shared bathrooms and stuff like that in each one of our residence buildings. But that is kind of the general idea of housing. We did have a housing live stream, I believe, on Thursday of last week. So that should be available for you guys on our YouTube, Trent University YouTube page. And I can also link that in the chat a little later as well. And I know we did have a question in the chat about the meal plan. About if students who live in the annex suites get the full meal plan, understanding that they won't be able to access it over the winter break. I'm not too sure about that. I think students who live off campus don't have to opt into the meal plan just because you live in an apartment style. Melissa, I don't know if you wanted to add on to that.
I wouldn't, I don't think that I think it's a reduced meal plan. I don't think
Yeah,
it's I believe it's a reduced meal plan that you're opting into rather than a full meal plan.
yeah.
Um, I'm not 100% sure about that, but I'm pretty sure that that's the case. Because students will be coming to campus and staying on campus to study and to go to their
Mhm.
classes. And so we do want to make sure that those meals can be covered while they're doing all those pieces as well. So yeah, I think that that's something that um, definitely look into, but or
Yeah,
maybe it's covered in the housing stream.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah.
And I will link, I'll put housing's email in the chat as well. So if you have any specific questions about residents and housing, that would be the right contact for you. Again, I see questions about if the reservation fee for residence registration, I believe it's a $50 fee, but again, just confirm that with housing just to be sure. Um, can we elect to get the full meal plan though? I believe you can if you want to pay for the meal plan. Any student can have a meal plan first, second, third, fourth year. You can always pay to have the meal plan. And the dining halls are very accessible to students and faculty staff. I love going to the dining hall, so you can always opt in for dining hall options. Um, but yeah, I think that's it for the questions about residents. I don't know if you wanted to add anything, Melissa, or we're good for the next question.
I think that the just going back to that question about like the annex student or like an apartment style
hmm
student. So our our dining halls are open even right now. Well, like yeah, so they're open even right now, up until December 20th. So while they might have exams that end early, the dining halls are still open right now, and then they do close for a short period of time over the winter
Right.
break. So they're closed for everybody over that time, not just because you're an annex student and you might not be using it. It definitely remains open while all the other students are still on campus, and then there's a break that it closes down for everybody.
Yeah. And one last question I see here, are residents affiliated or divided by facility or area of study? Yes, they're kind of divided by different areas of study. Like for example, our Zosky residence holds our business program. So you see some students who tend to live in Zosky are students who are in our business program. However, it is not restricted to that. So if you're in nursing, for example, you do not have to stay in a specific residence. You're free to go wherever you want, wherever you feel most comfortable, most at home. But there is that option there for those living learning communities. That's the name that I was looking for that I couldn't figure out. But yeah, there are living learning communities available, but you will be able to find people from your program no matter which residence you choose.
Yeah, living learning communities are really great because they allow students to find those connections outside of
Right.
class with their classmates. And then also there's specialized programming that happens within living learning communities. So students who are choosing to live within these specialized communities, they might get access to really neat opportunities that perhaps they would never even know about
Mm.
should they have been living somewhere else on campus. I do think that it is a part of that Trent advantage, of being able to choose where you want to live, and perhaps you do want that separation from your schoolwork. You can choose not to live in those places.
Yeah.
um, and yeah, I think that one of the other benefits of being able to choose your residence, if you're someone who or you know that your student who's coming to Trent might need to just be one of those people who like get up, roll out of bed, roll into class,
Yeah.
you can choose a residence that's going to be really close to the majority of their classes. Just because they're a business student does not mean that all their classes will be in Zosky, but definitely there'll be a good few
Yeah.
that are in Zosky. And most importantly, that's where their program is housed. And so their professors will be there. So they can get up, roll into their professor's office to ask that question.
Yeah, for sure. And especially too, that same roll out of bed is at our Durham campus as well. The residence is integrated within the learning space. So again, roll out of bed, get to your lecture, you even go visit your professor for their office hours. It's a really great system. Perfect. I think that's good for residents. If you guys do have any questions about that later on, we're more than happy to answer them. But we're going to move on to the next one. Um, let's go. So I hear there are different rules about privacy at universities. Does the university call parents if there's ever a problem? And what should parents do if they're worried about their student?
Yeah. So if you're worried about your student's safety and well-being and it feels imminent and really important to get a hold of someone right then and there, my recommendation is to call Trent Campus Safety. They're like our security folks that are on campus. Um, and if it's not feeling imminent, they do have a non-emergency line that you can call as well. So if your student is on campus in residence, they will be able to offer well-being checks or pass along information to our housing team to be able to follow up with your student. And if your student is living off campus, they'll provide you with some additional guidance. Perhaps they'll let you know what is available in the community that maybe can do that same well-being check. They might get in contact with Peterborough or Durham Police if a well-being check is needed. Or they will make contact with the appropriate housing folks. And sometimes we do have an off-campus housing coordinator. Sometimes that might mean getting that off-campus coordinator involved to support if needed. Um, I think that going back to this question as well, going back to like specifically about the privacy rules, yes, the university is bound by specific privacy rules. And as such, we do try to aim for our communication to be with your student when it's about your student. And so we do directly contact them. However, there are ways to get permissions to allow the university to discuss specific matters with you. For example, when it comes to student accounts or finances, if you know that you're going to be the person who's going to be dealing with the finances, what you can do is you can ask your student to provide permission to someone at the university to allow you to be their proxy, essentially. And so once that permission is requested and it's filed with that specific department for that specific purpose, then they will be able to be in contact with you about that matter. We don't have a system that goes pan-university wide, and that's just because we know that people give consent for different things. And we want to be able to ensure that we have your students' consent as we move through, because they're also a young adult and they're growing and learning as well. So we do try to ensure that whatever aspect of the university they're dealing with, you might need to request for permission at different junctures along the way.
Thank you. Our next question is, how and why do parents and supporters play such a huge role in the success of their future Trent students?
Oh, yeah, you folks have a big role. So parents and supporters play a vital role in the success of the future Trent student by providing a foundation of encouragement, stability, and also care that allows your student to thrive. And that's during a very transformative time. University is a significant milestone, and it has opportunities and challenges that mark this opportunity. And so the support of a student's family can definitely make all the difference in how that student navigates through this journey. So I like to remind parents that your student is about to set off on some deep learning, and this is not just about gaining knowledge of a new subject area, but it's also about gaining knowledge about who they are. They might be exploring their identities, they might be exploring the kind of leaders that they want to become in this world. They might be really moved by some of the new theories and thought processes that they're being exposed to. And throughout this process of learning, both in the classroom and outside the classroom, you're going to be that set of arms that they come back to. And knowing that they have a safe place that they can return to share their stories of triumph, of heartbreak, of setbacks, challenges, growth, whatever it is, it's going to mean a lot more than I think anybody could imagine. Having that safe place to land is really important, and it's going to help your young adults foster a sense of confidence and foster a sense of independence, really. And so I think that your role is going to begin by helping to set that sense of confidence in them. Um, I think that it's important to show them that you trust them, that they can show them that you trust that they can manage their academics, their relationships, their personal growth. And then I think that in that you'll see a lot of their independence and growth. And I think the second piece in that is to try to foster some judgment-free communication, providing your student with a safe space to share about their experiences is really helpful. And these connections can definitely offer comfort and strength and can help them stay grounded when they're navigating all the ups and downs that might come with this new chapter. And I think that your unwavering support, which I'm very certain that you'll have, is going to be one of those really big contributors to their success.
Sure, yeah. It helps when you feel supported along the way, not only at the institution, but also by your parent, by your supporter. So, yeah, I completely agree. Our next question, are there any particular supports and services at the Durham GTA campus that might be maybe a little different than our Peterborough campus, like for example, peer mentoring or any kind of support like that?
So we try to keep it pretty streamlined and similar, specifically in student affairs. We want to make sure that that student experience is going to be comparable regardless of the campus that you're at. Myself and my counterpart at Durham, we meet regularly to ensure that that is going to be relatively the same. Now, we do have very different scales in terms of our population size. So yes, some of these programs look a little bit different. Jen Richardson down at Durham, who is my counterpart, she probably could name every single first year student. And I can't do the same here on the Peterborough campus. But definitely we have the similar types of peer mentoring supports available. So This semester, you're going to see Black student support on both campuses, out on campus peer support on both campuses. We do have like academic skills, academic advising. We have a student wellness center down at Durham. We have a student wellness center up in Peterborough. The student wellness center is that place on campus that you're gonna tell your student to go to when they're feeling sick, when they wake up with a rash on their arm, when you realize that, hey, I think that their mental health is taking a toll and they need to talk to somebody. Um, and we have accessibility services on both campuses. We have equity, human rights offices on all campuses that we have as well. So I think that like it's streamlined, it's similar. They're not the same. They're a little bit different, but we do hope for the similar experience at both of our campuses.
Yeah, for sure. I can advocate for that as well as a Durham student grad myself. The services and supports that were available on both campuses, since I took courses at both, felt the exact same. There are two different locations, but both of these campuses do feel like home for students. So it's definitely, the supports are definitely there. And I was just wondering as well, orientation, is that pretty similar at both campuses as well?
Yeah, we do try to keep orientation. We do try to talk to each other for orientation to make sure that we're going to do things that are similar. It has a different flavor because of the different students that help to make orientation possible. So we do try to build our orientation experiences with our students in mind. And as a result, when we pull ideas from our Peterborough students, they do look a little bit different than the ideas that come from our Durham students, just because they have different experiences. So at the core, yes, we have all the foundational programs around the things that are going to prepare students on their academic journey, that are going to help them orient to campus, that are going to make them feel like they're part of a community. Those key things are both there. The way that they do them, it might be through the automobile building competition that happens on the Peterborough campus. And I can't name a silly competition that might happen on the Durham campus, but maybe you can, Chloe.
I know we have I don't know what it's called when students stand on this like trampoline type thing and they have like they whack each other with the like a foam thing to fall off. The student life coordinator is he always participates in that. That's a big one at the Durham campus.
Yeah, I've heard of a couple of dunk tanks at the Durham campus.
Yeah.
Um, we haven't done that here, and I don't think we're going to. Because
I
I would
know.
be probably put in the dunk tank. That's why we're not going to.
Yeah, we don't do that. We do actually have a few questions in the chat about orientation since we're kind of on the topic of it, if you don't mind, I ask them now.
Yeah, let's do it.
So in addition to orientation week in the fall, is there also a day for students, parents to come for an orientation in the summer or maybe something in the winter term as well?
I think that a great thing to come to in the summer is summer orientation. And summer orientation, it's also run by our orientation coordinator. At that orientation session, we'll introduce you a little bit to some of the services that are available, what the experience might be like. There's campus tours that are happening at that time. That is the thing that I think parents should come to. Hey, if you want a parent session, like we can build it.
Yeah,
And we can make that happen. I can put that word in with the orientation coordinator. I do think it is important to kind of siphon off as parents and be able to ask your questions that you need to ask. And maybe not with your student either, right? Like that could be an important piece. So I'll throw the idea out there. It'll happen in summer orientation and hope to see you there.
for sure. That's a good one. Um, we also do have a question. Can I sign up for orientation activities if I don't live on residence?
Absolutely. Please do. So we run orientation for first year students, period. Doesn't matter if you're off campus or on campus. We do try to ensure that we're building orientation with off-campus students in mind, though, because we know that there are some additional challenges for off-campus students when they're not physically on campus or when they might not have a like residence Dawn who's gonna like physically get them out of their rooms to bring them to orientation stuff. So we do try to think about how do we ensure that we're going to be gathering off-campus students for orientation. And last year we did have a bus that was going between Trail Annex, which is somewhat situated where the majority of students live. Even though you might not be living at Trail Annex, it is somewhat close to the general downtown area that students live in, and it's in an accessible place, so it's pretty easy to get to that area. And then we were chartering buses from there. Also, there's public transportation that's available. But we did keep that in mind, and we're continuing that as we build orientation fall 2025.
For sure. And I'll also drop the orientation email address if you guys have any questions about orientation as well. So I'll put that in the chat. Something really exciting and cool and unique to Trent that we have is our bridge program. Would you be able to touch a little bit more about the bridge program and how this could be a very great thing for first year students?
Yeah, so the Bridge program is a 14-day course, and you get a half credit for being a part of this course. I believe that it's 2 hours of instruction, 1 hour of sort of asynchronous working to achieve this credit. 14 days is an intense period to achieve a half credit. However, what that means is that your student would be starting first year, or possibly if you have a student who's coming in as a college transfer, they would be starting with a bit of an advantage of having what they might know right now in high school as a spare, right? So it's a little bit easier to start in your first year when you do have a reduced course load. And so we wanted to ensure that students have the opportunity to be able to do that. The Bridge is a course that is it's actually 3 courses. There's a science stream, like arts stream, and then there's also a new college transfer stream. And so if your student is coming into the sciences, into the arts, or if they are a college transfer student, they would choose which stream that they would want to take part in. And in that stream, they're going to learn about the skills that they're going to need to succeed in that area. So for the science stream, they're going to learn about how do you write a lab report in university. In both streams, they're going to learn about note taking. They're going to learn about how do you sit in a lecture and absorb information in a way that's efficient and effective. We want to ensure that students know how to learn. We want to teach folks how to learn before they come into school. Because once you're here and you're in the coursework that is in the subject area that you need to retain stuff in, it gets a little bit harder. So we wanted to give folks the opportunity to learn how to do that learning. And so if you have questions about that, you can look at, or you can email bridge@trentu.ca. You can also Google Trent Bridge, or I think Chloe's going to put the link in the chat as well. You can look up the information on that website. The dates of the course are usually the second week of August, and like 14 days out from that. And yeah, I'm really excited for this year because we have this new college transfer stream. It's something that we are trying out this year. It's going to be a course in the future as well, but it's definitely the first time we're doing it, and we're investing a lot of resources into building that right now.
Yeah, the bridge is also great because you get one credit out of the way in the fall. That's something really exciting. If
Mhm.
5 classes seems pretty intimidating, it's kind of great to know that you can get one course kind of out of the way. Yeah, and it's a really great opportunity to learn how to be a university student, what it's like.
And the course is built with so it's built with wraparound supports. The wraparound supports come in the form of peer mentors. So our bridge peer mentors, our BPMs, the heartbeat, they are supporting your student as they move through that course. So they're there to ask questions. I think that it's a great way to sort of start the university experience off with letting folks know that it's okay to ask someone a question. It's okay to reach out and talk to an upper year student to ask about their experience. And we wanted to foster that right from the beginning. Bridge does have a registration process. And so, and for all 3 streams. And so you'll learn about that on the website, but know that just because you want to be in the Bridge, there is a registration and there is a cap. So get in quick if you are interested. It's not on a first come first serve basis. We do go through the applications and try to figure out who would be best suited in this course, and what can the makeup of this really be.
A good question that was asked is Bridge course in person or online?
It is online. So we recognize that students are possibly still holding down a job towards the end of August. People are sometimes still in other parts of the world, still haven't come to Trent if you're an international student, or maybe even across the country. And so we did want to try to make it accessible for first year students by making it an online course. There are intentional points of connection. So this is one of the reasons that we also have the bridge peer mentors as wraparound supports, so that people don't feel like they're just sitting at their computer and listening to the ether, or like just like talking into a void at times. And we do know that that experience of doing COVID online. Some people really loved it, some people really didn't. And so we wanted to make sure that we could have these wraparound supports to ensure that students feel like they can reach out to someone and have that human connection. We're also planning to do an in-person meetup this year. For folks who've been through the bridge in orientation, so that we can bring those people together in person and say, hey, we were together as a community in the summer, and here we are in person on campus, and let's continue this community as we move together in our journey.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that connections piece, not only from the bridge program, but later on, you're meeting such great people that you'll become very close with within the 14-day period. And even like supporters, services, everything's going to be provided to you. So they're really great connections that you can use and that they'll be very useful
Mhm.
as if you're looking for things in first year. Again, I did put the link to the bridge program into the chat as well as the contact information for that specifically. I think we're coming to the end of our panel. We do have one more question and then we'll move to the Q&A chat because I knew we do have a few questions that we would like to answer there as well. So who do you think would be the best person to contact to learn more about support, services, or events for new students?
So I think that that would also be orientation at trentu.ca. The orientation account is held within the Office of Student Affairs, and they can then triage your question if it's more specific. If you're specifically looking for information about accessibility services, maybe your student has an IEP, or like an accommodations plan in place in their high school or in the school that they're coming from. If they already have that in place, it is going to be very important for you to connect in with accessibility services. And so directly contact accessibility services for that. SAS at trentu.ca is a great one. There are some timelines for registering that we really try to encourage students to get registered by these specific timelines, because then it guarantees that you're going to have your accommodations in place for your first day of classes. If you're not in line with those deadlines, then we can't guarantee that your accommodations are going to be in place for that first day. Um, if you are specifically looking for information about like the gym, we do have an athletic center, and my suggestion would be to contact the athletic center for any related inquiries of that nature. If you have a community, or sorry, if you have a counselor in your community that you're working with that you know that you're not going to be able to work with when your student moves to Durham or Peterborough, I would also suggest contacting the Student Wellness Center. As soon as a student has their student number and they are going to be enrolled, they can start that process of onboarding with a counselor or with a care provider. If your student requires like nursing care or physician care for, I don't know, allergy shots or something, also Student Wellness Center is a great place for you to connect in with. Yeah, I think yeah, if you're not too sure where to go, connect with orientation at trentu.ca, and they'll try to figure out how to support you best.
For sure, yeah. And I think so too, if you have questions even before your student is at Trent, our office is great at that. So discover Trent at trentu.ca or even just connecting with me as well. If you have questions about perhaps needing help with application support or understanding how the course registration process looks, or even if you are in need of an OUAC, so an Ontario University Application Center voucher for your student, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I will also put my email in the chat as well as Melissa's as well, if you're okay with that, if anyone has any questions. But yeah, these are really great resources for students who have questions, and they love answering questions from prospective students, or even parents and supporters as well. So please do not hesitate to ask any question that you may have to these folks.
I just put the student
Perfect.
affairs Trent email in there.
Awesome. So we'll move to questions that are in the Q&A. Some of these we'll try to answer to the best of our abilities, but if not, we'll try to find the right contact for you. So our first question is, if students are enrolled at the Durham GTA campus, which is considerably smaller than the Peterborough campus, will they need to commute between the two to pursue their degree, or does the Trent Durham campus have the resources for students? I think we kind of answered that earlier about the same supports that are available on both campuses. I think programs, not all of our programs are offered at the Durham campus. So just making sure that the program that you're interested in is fully housed at the one campus. Like this, you don't have to worry about commuting back and forth. But something really cool that we do have is a Go bus that goes 12 times back and forth from Peterborough to the Durham campus. So if you're looking to do courses at both, that could totally be an option for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're like usually Durham students are Durham students, so their programs are pretty encapsulated at Durham. And usually Peterborough students are Peterborough students and their programs are encapsulated in Peterborough. There might be the odd course that might be there, but I think like in the students that I've seen, it's maybe like one course throughout their degree, and it's because they've chosen to take a course that's specifically offered. It's not a part of the required courses. That's a part of the degree. It's more of like this is a really cool course that I want to take, and they only offer it in Durham, so they decide to make that trip to Durham for that.
For sure. I see a lot of questions as well about waiting for admissions from possible first or second choices. Yes, we are still reviewing applications. Some of our more popular programs, like our business co-op, our nursing program, teachers education stream, since these are CAP programs, offers tend to go out a little later within the cycle. So I would not worry just yet if you haven't heard back from us. We're very flexible with what we offer. So we do have alternate offers if you don't get into your main program of choice. So definitely do not worry. We have received applications. They go out on a rolling basis. So do not worry too much about that. Someone is asking, how far away from classes are the annexes? My student has to stay in annexes due to not being able to come home over the winter.
So they're across the street. I think that if you were to go from the annexes to the furthest point of campus, let's see, Chloe, I'd say it would take me, I'm a slow walker. It would take me like maybe somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes to
Yeah.
walk Champlain Annex to the DNA building. Yeah, would you agree?
No, I agree. Yeah.
15, 20?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not too far, but not too close either, which is nice.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's the furthest. Like it takes
yeah.
me from my office, which is considered central on campus,
Mhm.
about 10 minutes to
Yeah.
walk to the DNA building.
Yeah.
Like I think that campus, while it can look kind of sprawling, because we do have a bridge that like goes across the river, and I don't know if you know this, but we have a river on our campus, and
Yeah.
it's pretty epic. But because we do have this bridge that goes across, and then it actually weaves quite a bit on the upper area of like if we were to call the other side the upper podium. Um, there's lots of like ways to get through that pretty quickly. And so it looks like it sprawls in quite a large way, but it actually is quite quick to
Yeah.
get between the two banks. So yeah, I'd say like 20 minutes in
Yeah.
walking, max 15 to 20. If I'm also pretty short and got short legs, so 5'2". Like it probably takes me a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's not that far. Um, we have a question again about admissions and stuff. Should we be concerned? If you have any questions, I actually would recommend also reaching out to admissions at trentu.ca, especially if you're worried about any documentation that needs to be submitted, transcripts, all that stuff. So definitely reach out to admissions at trentu.ca. They would be your best bet for any questions related to that. Question here. During the campus tour we attended, we saw a residence room at Zosky. Is there a possibility of seeing the other residences, such as the annexes, in person rather than virtually? That is a great question. Right now, I know Zosky is the only room that we are showing, but open house is a great time to come visit us. March 12th, I think. That time in March, I believe during the March break is when we have our open house at Trent University. So definitely come by. You'll be able to see all of the residence options, including the annexes that are available off campus. I know too that if you do visit us for a campus tour, we can try to ask the annexes to show a room if they have one available. But again, virtual for right now is what we will offer for any residences that you may want to see that are not available on the campus tour, unfortunately. But open house again is another great time to come visit not only residences, but professors, faculty, staff. Any questions you may have about programs, support, services, all that good stuff will be available at our open houses. And we also do have many fun events happening throughout the year as well. So definitely keep an eye out on the Future Students webpage if you have any questions relating to that as well.
I think the open house, Peterborough open house, is going to be March 14th. So that's a
Okay.
Friday, 10 to 2. And you can register for that. Maybe, Chloe, if you want to drop the
Yeah,
link. And then Durham open house is March 1st, which is a Saturday, and it's going to be 11 to 2.
perfect. Yeah, I'll definitely add the link for that. Does anyone else have any questions while I find the link?
I think that
Please.
there was one question
Yeah,
about um, studies in agri-food.
yeah,
And I just wanted to say that there is a program in sustainable agriculture and food that we do offer at Trent. So if you're looking for a program like that, I think type in sustainable agriculture into Google and you'll be able to find that program, Sustainable Agriculture Trent, and you'll probably be able to find it. Maybe I'll see if I can drop that link in for you as well.
house information. Perfect. Does anyone Yeah, is there a tour that students and parents can attend on move-in weekend? We would love to see in specifically the forensics facility. We can't come earlier as we are far away.
On move-in weekend. So I am unsure about that just because move-in weekend, a lot of the other places across campus are closed. So like the program would be closed. Some of the program staff would not be there that weekend. Um, but I do think, yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to make that one happen. Just
I don't
because
know.
we would
Yeah,
need to have forensic staff around and it is Labor Day weekend and but yeah, if that changes, we'll put it out there in orientation. I'll ask the orientation coordinator to look into what could be possible in terms of campus tours across campus during that move-in period to say that it's an interest. Yeah, as I'm thinking through it more, I'm like, well, this could be possible. So yeah, let's see.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, I think that maybe there's something between campus tours and orientation that might be possible for that.
Yeah, and I know again, I mentioned it earlier, but open house, we can not really get into the forensics crime scene facility that frequently, just because there's many machines and stuff and resources that are available there that aren't really for the public. So open house, they let us tour those. So that could be another great time to come see it. But yeah, fingers crossed, hopefully something can be arranged with forensics to get in to see the facility. I see a question. Do you hear back one way or the other about admissions? That is to say offer, alternate offer, rejection. Yes, we will always keep you in the loop. You will receive 24 to 48 hours after you've applied to a program at Trent. We will send you a communications from our admissions team, just acknowledging that we've received your offer of admissions and possible next steps. So if you have to submit any transcripts or we're just waiting for any specific grades to be entered, that will be communicated with our admissions team to you. And then throughout the time, you can always check your My Trent portal. So that's a portal that you'll have access to once you apply to Trent. This is a really great resource if you want to start browsing it to look at any possible courses you could be taking and also keep track of the status of your application. So if you're kind of worried about where it's at, if you search under the academics tab, you'll be able to see the status of your application there. So that can be another great resource if you want to keep track. But yes, we will always be sending communications with offer letters. We even send things in the mail for offer letters. So we will be getting you from not just email, but also your address. So you will be hearing back from us regardless.
I'm also going to put a video that Trent you put together about the forensics crime scene.
Yes,
Um, and maybe that will be a helpful virtual option for those folks who are asking that question.
perfect. Is there any other questions that anyone has? A few to see if anyone's typing anything out.
I'm making sure that all the things I promised for orientation week is going into an email right now, in a list so that I don't forget.
Make notes.
But this is like, I think that this is like this is the Trent way.
Yeah,
Right? Like you say you want it, you say it's important, you recognize a need, and it's not hard to change our system because our system is small. And it's easy to say, yes, I see that need. And
yeah.
I'm here, I'm with you, and I hear that. And I think that that is the Trent advantage, is that we are a smaller community, and
Mhm.
because we're smaller, you're not just a number. Like I see your names. I've looked at your names and I've said, oh, I
Yeah.
know that last name. I wonder if we know each other. Like I've looked at all of your names. I've gone through all the participants here. Um, and that is the Trent way. Like
Yeah,
we are small, we're a close-knit community, and as a result of that, there's some great things that we can achieve. And you're not just a number. And I've worked across many universities. This is my fourth post-secondary, and I've never felt that way. Um, and so I think that that's, in all honesty, in all of my heart, that would be the Trent advantage is our close-knit community.
for sure. It makes such a huge difference. You feel so valued as a student and your voice is heard. Like if you have any recommendations, if you want to start any clubs or groups or anything like that, advocate for yourself, do it because it'll change your journey through university. It'll make it so much more personable and enjoyable. So yes, definitely the trend advantage for sure. Back to our first question. Yes. Um, this is a good one. Can parents top up student Trent cash cards?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, for sure. Yeah, you can do that from afar, and your student will feel well supported.
For all those Starbucks or
Yeah,
those
yeah, for all the things that they might need, right? Like studying on campus late at night, might come with like some extra snacks maybe
Yeah.
that are needed. Um, yeah, for sure. That's something that you can do, to show them you love them from far away.
A little gift. This question about residence. So the portal opens on February 5th. Does the student need to know what residence they want at that time, or are they just securing the spot? That time is just securing your spot on February 5th. After that, I believe, where are my dates? So after February 5th, on June 4th, we will be sending out the time slots. So those will be the time slots that you'll have to know what room you want to be in. Once you get your time slot email, that's when it's going to be that first come, first serve into what residences that you're interested in. Perfect. We'll wait 1 or 2 minutes. Oh, when is the $500 deposit due for residents? That is a great question. I believe it's due when you apply, like when you get your time slot and you apply for your residence. But I would recommend you direct that question over to housing@trentu.ca for that question.
It does say on their website that as long as you apply, pay our $50 application fee, and pay our 500 residence deposit by June 4th, you'll be guaranteed a bed and residence. So I believe that it looks like it's June 4th, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. But I'd send that question to housing as well. And I'm sure that like paying it up front is probably better than waiting till that last minute's time slot.
I see a question on how the time slots are assigned. First come, first serve based on when you get that application in on February 5th. Okay. On that note, we have a very sweet question that says, not a question, just a thank you for taking the time to inform us tonight. Thank you both very much. Very informative.
Absolutely. And thanks for your questions. I think that it's really helpful. It's also maybe feels a little bit vulnerable to ask some of these questions, especially if you're sitting next to your student, or maybe you, the student, are asking these questions. Thank you for your vulnerability in asking these questions, because it can be a lot. And this is a new journey that you're both going to embark on. And so we wish you all the best in this journey, and know that we're here to support the both of you every step of the way.
For sure. And you have our contact information, studentaffairs@trentu.ca, and I'll put my email in the chat as well if you do have any questions at any time. But thank you again, Melissa, for joining me tonight. This was super informative and very helpful. And again, these will be recorded and will be available on the Trent University YouTube page if you want to have a rewatch. And if you do have any other questions relating to future students, admissions, all that stuff, please feel free to email discover@trentu.ca with those questions. But again, thank you all for joining us tonight, and I hope you have a good rest of your weekend and good luck. We're almost near the holidays, so have a great evening, everyone.